So fall is upon us, and with fall comes a couple different projects that I like to do. One of them is to prepare my ATV for winter and winterize my lawnmower, which is right here. I'm going to skip the winterizing the lawnmower part because, quite frankly, I've given up on that, and all I do is throw some stable in it, shut the fuel off, run it till it's dry, and then park it for the winter. That thing needs a battery, so I'm not even going to put the battery tender on it over the winter. So this is my 2005 Honda Rincon ATV. It's a 650. I bought it brand new in 2005. It's seen better days, but we're actually in relatively good shape. I had a little oopsie. A friend of mine rolled it over a couple years ago. I beat it up here and there. I mean, it's an ATV, they get beat up. I don't have to really do anything to this thing other than put the plow on. But what I am going to do is I'm going to build a trailer hitch for this thing. Now I understand don't build what you can buy, and I can buy a trailer hitch for this. But I never. Well, there's two things. One, and I'll show it right here. So I have this basket on the back of this thing. My dad actually bought me this basket, and that's actually part of the story. So my dad bought me this basket for the ATV. He also bought this trailer. But the ATV, the Honda, doesn't have anything on the back of it for a trailer hitch other than this thing that I just built. There's only 2 bolts there that hold it on. Now, they do that for a reason, and the reason is they don't want you towing stuff that's way too heavy for this machine to handle. They don't want you towing stuff that's way too heavy for this machine to handle. Actually, the Honda Rincon, this era Honda Rincon, has a real transmission in it. So while it is a great ATV for trail riding, and when it was originally released, they called it a sport utility ATV. It doesn't go very fast. It's only tops out at about 40 miles an hour, and quite frankly, 40 miles an hour on this thing's horrifying, especially on the highway or on the road. And it doesn't, I don't know how to put it without, it doesn't push very well. But it works fine. It works just fine. So the other part of the backstory is, my dad, when he got sick, he wanted to get a trailer dolly for this trailer, and quite frankly, I was like, Dad, you're wasting your money. You can't move the trailer anyway. Well, not for nothing, I'm 52. I'm getting old. I'm getting fat, and I don't like to exert myself any more than I need to. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to build a receiver trailer hitch for the ATV. Now let's go see what I got laid out already for this project. Oh, I need to add that even if I was to buy a receiver trailer hitch for this, it isn't necessarily going to work properly because this basket is in the way, and I'm not taking the basket off. I love this basket. It's worth every penny, even though it's all smashed up and screwed up from me bashing into things. It works perfectly, but the side effect of that is I need to actually have an almost obscurely long trailer hitch that sticks out of the back of this. That's part of today's engineering project. Now I have a pretty decent supply of scrap metal around here. Shocking, I'm sure, right? And I'm going to do this a little bit backwards. The trailer itself, the dry weight on the trailer is less than, way less than 1,000 pounds, but it is a little bit heavy to move around. It's a little bit too heavy for me to move around by myself. Now, when I was 25, it wasn't an issue, but now it's a little bit of an issue. So therefore, what I have been doing is just using straps hung off of just picking the tongue of the trailer up with straps and then just dragging it around that way. Now, not for nothing, that's a little sketchy to say the least. So I have plenty of scrap laying around here. I even have a spare receiver hitch, or actually the insert. I don't know what you call it. One's a receiver and one's a innie. I have an extra innie here. So what I'm going to do is, I have this tubing here. I've got a good bit of it actually, and I'm going to, instead of normal trailer hitch goes on the outside, because I'm not dealing with a whole lot of weight, and this is the material that I have laying around, I'm going to use it on the inside, and that's perfectly acceptable for what I'm doing. The other thing I have is I've got a good bit of the strapping. As a matter of fact, this piece of strapping was part of my old trailer hitch thing that I had built for this. The original piece that I just showed you was considerably longer. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to weld it on that, and then I'm going to weld this to the other piece. And hopefully it'll work. Well, I know it'll work. I zipped the old one off, and this is the one that was on there. So basically what I have been doing with that thing for years now is I have a lifting D-ring that's in the it's in the little, there's like a little glove box, little compartment on that thing. It has a D-ring in it that you can, like a shackle, that I would put through here in case I get stuck. I have something to hook onto. That's the other thing with that thing, is it never had a decent way to hook off the back of it in case you got stuck and you need to get towed out or whatever. You needed a picket for the winch. The winch on that ATV is actually way stronger than the ATV is heavy, so it has a tendency to drag the ATV if you're towing it, if you're trying to pull anything like heavy with it. So one of the problems that I have, and I talked about it a couple seconds ago, is this needs to be a weird length to clear the trailer hitch. Now I have this piece here, which was one of the original. This was actually this long at one point, and it looked ridiculous, and I kept backing into shit with it. So what I think, and this is the original one. So the original one's going to go away. The original is going away right now, actually. This triangular piece, we'll see it in a minute. I cobbled this thing together. I forget how long ago. It was basically it was before I had a decent shop at home. I think I cut it. I mean, like, that's obviously something I cut out from scrap at my old shop. So that's going away. Now, the new one, I think, is going to go like this. And it's going to be this much. It's going to be this much longer. Now I'm actually not going to weld these together, which might be a mistake, but I'm not going to. I'm going to just drill these. I'm going to drill these holes out. I have a drill press, so it's not that big of a deal to drill holes. And then I am going to drill a big hole through this one here. So I think my game plan is going to be. Yeah, these ends aren't square, and quite frankly, I'm not even going to square them up. So I think it's going to be like this, and then the trailer hitch will slide in like that. Slide in like that. I might not even. And then I'm just going to weld this to this, and then bolt this to this. But I got some holes to drill. I'm going to spare you the hole drilling process because. You've seen one guy on the internet drill a hole, you've seen 1,000 of them drill a hole. Now, I might square the ends of this up. I don't really think so. I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter other than my own nuttiness. So the reason I'm doing it this way is so I have a little bit extra strength. Just so it's a little bit extra strong. I have 5/16 plate. I have this plate, which I could use, but I honestly don't want to use it because my plasma cutter does not like to cut this shit, and I don't feel like setting up my cutting torch. I disassembled my cutting torch and stored it away because I'm not using it. And quite frankly, I don't need it right now. So, yeah, so I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to go like that. I'm going to drill this big hole in here and keep it in here just because. And I maybe, well, when I weld this to this, and then the other thing I'm going to do is radius these corners a little bit with on the bench grinder, or I'm going to radius these corners a little bit. Actually, I think it's going to go like that. They need to have this much. I want to have about that much in there, and then that much welded on. That's more than enough. Like I said, this trailer is never going to go more than 1 mile an hour down the road being towed by the ATV. What I do need to do is get this piece put together first, and then I'm going to go out and clamp all this stuff together. I'll probably drill this hole too. Clamp all this stuff together and make sure that it's going to fit before I do any welding, because I want to make sure that I have enough length off the back of the ATV to clear that basket and not have this look ridiculous again. I did have a little bit of an epiphany that I might want to show this. So whenever you have holes like this, like whenever you want to put two pieces of material together with bolts, you want to use transfer punches, and you want to use transfer punches. Now, I spent a good bit of time, spacing these holes out when I did the first one. So I bought this set of transfer punches at Harbor Freight a couple years ago, and quite frankly, they're one of the best things I ever bought. Basically, ow, come on, as it fights me out of the hole. So basically, a transfer punch is the correct size hole. You use them for go, no-go gauges too if you need them. And it's just got a hole in it. It's just got a punch end in it. I'm fairly sure that these holes are 3/8. It's too big. So if you use it, if you're using it, we're gonna get one under. So the way these work is you put it all together like that, and then this fits in the hole the right size. This one's actually too small. This one should be the right one. Yep, there you go. So when you go to mark your stuff, the hole is exactly where it needs to be. Where you got to start the drill is exactly where it needs to be, and you kind of want these. The reason you use the one that's the right size is so it's square in the hole. So when I go to bolt these together, after drilling the holes, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but I now mark these two spots right where they're supposed to be, and then I'm going to go drill these out. I knew I said I wasn't going to show you how I was drilling holes, but it just occurred to me it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to show my setup. So what I did originally, the first thing I did was I made a block. Ow. Made a block to go under my as like kind of, not necessarily a parallel, but something underneath the underneath what I was drilling, so when I put it in the vise I wouldn't be drilling into my vise. There's nothing that drives me more nuts than some asshole that's drilled through and then drilled through the vise. So first holes I drilled were these two. I drilled these two holes first, and then I bolted the piece together, and then I sandwiched the old piece to the new piece. And now I'm drilling the holes straight through, and I had to put a clamp on it because one of these two pieces of steel is bent a significant amount, so I had to I wanted to clamp them together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bolt, I'm going to put 2 more bolts in here and then remove the clamp, and then I'll drill these 2 holes. And I'm using my old drill press just because it's a little bit easier to set up than this one. So I had a bit of an epiphany while I was putting all this together, and I thought, you know what, why not just put the ball right on this extension? Well, 2 things, and we're going to get into both of those issues relatively quickly. The first issue is drilling this hole is a pain in the ass, and I'm going to show you why in a second. The other is it's not long enough, and I'm going to show that too. So the handle hits the basket. I had a feeling that was going to happen, but I went ahead and did it anyway. because I really didn't feel like, you know, doing the rest of the stuff that was required. The other problem is that this hitch is too low, so I need to raise it up. And the easiest way to raise it up another 2 inches is to use the original plan that I had. So let's go talk about drilling a hole. So I originally used this drill press to drill all the holes. This is a small drill press, I know that, but it runs relatively slow. This goes down to 800 RPM, which is the slowest this one will go. And not for nothing, it is a piece of shit. It's got a lot of run out. I broke an end mill on it the other day because of that. But it's actually pretty fine. It does what I need it to do. And I have this one here. This radial drill press that I bought not long ago It's a Grizzly. It also has a horrendous amount of run out, but it does work it works fine. For the vast majority of the holes I drill, it works okay. The biggest problem with the radial arm drill press, especially this one, is there's so many different adjustments that it's almost impossible to get it to drill a straight hole, like a really truly straight hole. Now for the big joke, Harbor Freight strikes again. I'm just going to do it this way. You can see here I destroyed this drill bit. Now, granted, I was running it a little bit fast, but not so fast as it should have destroyed this drill bit as fast as it did. This is a Harbor Freight bit. I bought a whole kit of them. They're absolutely worthless as tits on a boar hog. The other thing is they're soft. I don't know what these are made out of, but boy, they are soft. The other thing is when they came from the factory, I know how to drill a hole and I know how to sharpen a drill bit, especially one this big. The relief on the backside was wrong, so when I first started to drill the hole, it wouldn't actually go through because this angle was way off. So I reground the bit, I reground the relief angle, and I sharpened the edge, and it cut, but it only cut for about 30 fucking seconds and then quit. I don't know what these are designed to drill through, maybe plastic or soft wood, but they sure as shit don't want to drill through mild steel. So that fucking blew. I wasted an hour doing that, and eventually I ended up having to get a die grinder out and make the hole the actual 1 inch that it needed to be. This is a 1 inch drill bit. So if you go to Harbor Freight and you want to buy some big ass drill bits, the kit that I bought is this one. This is the kit. It just, yeah, they suck. I'm not going to throw them away, but I'm going to have to get better drill bits. So that leads us back to plan A, which is to get the welder out. I am going to square this tube off. I already marked it where I need to drill the hole, so I'm just going to drill that hole first using the bits that I have. Thankfully, the pin in this thing's only like maybe ½ inch. I actually have good drill bits that go up this big, so that's what I'm going to use to drill this hole. That's the next step, is to drill this hole, and then I'm going to take the ball off, and actually I'm going to flip it over. I gotta find the other piece. I don't know what the hell I did with it. I'm gonna flip it over so it's higher. So that's the whole game plan here. Where the fuck did I put that? Hey, shocking, I'm an idiot. I went in the house to go eat some lunch. I came back out and totally forgot I was shooting a video. Shocking, I know, right? So, what did I do? Or where are we right now at this very juncture? So there's a couple things I did kind of off camera because I forgot to shoot it. So I flipped over this hitch, the hitch-a-majigger here, I took the ball was on the other side of this. I flipped the ball around, so now the ball's like that. So effectively what that is going to do is raise the ball up an inch or so, maybe 3/4 of an inch. The other thing I did was I welded this together. Now, not for nothing, I have a 180 amp MIG welder. I think I'm running 035 at this point. I might be running 023. Guess take a look at it, huh? So I'm actually running 023 wire, and this stuff's pretty thick. This is pretty thick material. So quite frankly, the 023 wire is way undersized for what I'm doing. That HD 180 MIG welder I got from Home Depot works pretty well. It's a Lincoln. It's a one made specifically for Home Depot, and it does exactly what I wanted it to do. You have to remember the vast majority of things that I weld are auto body shit and less than 1/4 of an inch. That welder with 035 wire in it with gas will weld 1/4 inch in a single pass, no problem. It pushes it to the limit. There's no doubt about that. But so my welds came out pretty good. I'm going to take this thing and throw it in the blasting cabinet real quick, just because I can, and blast it and paint it because I have the tools and the technology. The next thing I have to decide is whether or not I want to mount it like this or mount it like this. I don't really think it matters other than looks wise. The other thing I did was instead of mounting I was originally going to mount this on this side, but I screwed up. Shocking, I know, right? And these bolts are actually literally like 1/8 of an inch too close together. I could have hogged the bolts out a little bit and I could have hogged the bolt holes out a little bit, spread them literally 1/8 of an inch, a 1/16 on either side apart, and then slid this over on down here a little bit further. Instead, I just decided to do it like this. Well, I decided to do it like that for a couple reasons. The main reason being is when this thing slides in now, there's a little bit of room in between here and here that I kind of wanted. This is right on the edge of being too long to hang off the back of my ATV at this point, but if I take this off, then I'm good. And then I can use this for other shit too. So, it is what it is. Not one of my greatest things. I just realized I got a hell of a burr on this thing I gotta shave off of here. We'll do that right now. I don't like to grind in the shop anymore. But I don't have a burr that big. Done and done. Alright, so that's going to get thrown in the blasting cabinet and painted. I degreased it. I washed it down with brake clean. Sweet, sweet, delicious brake clean. I'm going to blast it. I might actually put the bolts in here. You can see how this is bent. And then when I put the bolts in it and tighten it down, it flattens out. These are actually going to have to come out. You know, I'm not going to do that. Be a quick blast. Okay, just because I have a short attention span and it's just the nature of me, I will have to say one thing. I do bitch about Harbor Freight on a routine basis, and how some of the stuff that they sell is complete and total fucking garbage, and then other stuff is, it's all garbage. But for the most part, sometimes you score something not awful. So actually, I bought this set of numbered and lettered drill bits. It's like 100 and some drill bits. These actually work relatively well for drilling through mild steel, and they pulled my tit out of a wringer more than once. So my complaint earlier about Harbor Freight with those giant drill bits, I kind of temper it a little bit with these. But I still should buy a good set. All right, now. So here we are, all painted up. I don't know what I did wrong. Well, actually, I know exactly what I did wrong. So I bead blasted this thing, and then I threw it, and then I went and grabbed some, what do you call it, acid etching primer, and then I grabbed a can of Rust-Oleum and I sprayed it. I did the whole thing in like fucking 10 minutes, and I never let anything dry. So now, you know, a full 24 hours later, this thing's still wet. And it's still wet because I never shook the can up. You'd think I'd be good at this by now. So let's go put this thing on and test it out. Too old to be laying in the dirt. All right, so I think, so what happens with this thing is it has a tendency to really squat down a good bit when you put a trailer. I'm missing the washers. Yeah, damn it. It has a tendency to squat a good bit when you put any weight on it. It's the nature of the beast, right? It's an ATV. It's got really soft suspension. These things are designed to run off-road, so you want, you know, a good bit of suspension travel. The side effect of that is the side effect of that, or the undesirable side effect of that, is whenever you put any weight on the back of it, it has a tendency to really get dippy. But we're not going anywhere. I can't stress that enough. I gotta find my other washer. It should be laying right here, but of course it's not. I absolutely need a washer because these bolts are these are only 5/16 bolts. Of course it's a metric hole, and 3/8 don't like to fit through it. Ow, that was my head. Oh, there it is. Of course, washer is literally an inch out of my way. All right, so we're gonna put that on there, that on there. This one here. I'm gonna have to move the ATV to get it on, and that's a good thing, because actually where the ATV is parked right now is not where it wants to be. It's in a bad spot because that's where I originally tested it. So I don't know if it's still in frame. So I guess I should have pointed this out, or I should have mentioned this. I'm an idiot, right? Shocking, I know. We're back to me being an idiot. And I accidentally left my key on yesterday. Oh, accidentally left the key on yesterday. So the battery charger, or the battery on this thing's underneath this wheel. It's got a cover that goes over it. I'm only going to disconnect it for a minute, start it, and move it. And then I'm going to hook the battery charger back up. Well, that's a good sign. Actually, because it started right up, I may not hook the battery charger back up to it. So the longer story of this is, this battery in this ATV is really old. And I have tried over the years to keep it on a battery tender at all times, because years ago, I killed the battery, or the original factory. I killed the original factory battery by, you know, quite frankly, just not maintaining it. I think we may have a wiener here. Yep, that fits through there, that fits through there. Get that out of the way, and that out of the way. That's why I love that basket. I should also add a note that this has a carburetor. It's not fuel injected. Yeah, so this thing has a carburetor on it, and it's fairly funny because right after, you know, typical me, right after I bought this thing, they came out with fuel injection for these. They also got rid of the automatic transmission and went back to a CVT trans. This is kind of what I was talking about when I said that I'm getting old and fat, and I can't really move this thing by myself anymore. Should probably leave it idling, but the exhaust pipe's right there by my face. All right, so let's crank it down. Well, we're on. Boy, is that sketchy as all get out. Oh yeah, that's super sketchy. I don't like that a bit. Fuck. Well, this is why I shoot these videos. Because, you know, maybe it'll save you the level of aggravation that I just went through. I'm watching that thing bend. Alright, well, back to the fucking drawing board. It's bending right in here. That ain't no good. So I need to address all that. Not to mention the fact that it weighed down the suspension so much that I don't know whether or not I'd actually even be able to control it. Well, that's a problem. I guess I shouldn't have painted it. Option 2 is just to give it a shot and see how it works. Okay, so this is absolutely hilarious. Yeah, this is like really funny. So I had an epiphany, right? So my epiphany was move the unit, or slide this forward, right? Because these holes were the same size as these holes. Okay. So these were the original mounting holes. I slid the whole, I don't want to ruin the joke here. So I slid this whole thing forward, so it was being supported further underneath the ATV to kind of like move the pivot point. And it did. It worked perfectly, actually. Not only did it move the pivot point, it changed the angle, so everything was perfect. So I hooked the trailer back up. I put the receiver hitch on. I put the trailer on, and it was awesome, right? And then I stepped on the tongue of the trailer. Wah, wah. And it bent beautifully. So the whole thing's got to come back apart, and I have to completely re-engineer this fucking fiasco. Ugh. Fan-fucking-tastic. Glad I didn't weld that in really hard, because I'm gonna have to cut that one off. They literally bent right there. Perfect spot for it to bend. That was stupid. This whole project. Well, apparently I forgot to hit record on my camera like a nitwit. So let's do this all over again. So I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but there's a cross member right here in the frame. And this is where the bolt holes are, the existing bolt holes. I don't want to weld on the ATV frame for a lot of reasons. The main reason being is welding on, I don't know what kind of tubing this is. I don't really want to weld on it. It might be 41, it might be 4150. I don't know. I don't want to weld on it. It's just that simple. So bolting shit to it is my preferred method. Now, when I bent the hell out of this thing, right, it had an interesting side effect, and the interesting side effect is it almost bent it perfectly to meet this bend in the frame here, right? So I'm going to drill 2 holes in this old piece, and I'm going to use those to mount that on there. And then I have another hunk of this tubing here, which I was lazy and I didn't cut the I never cut the angle. I never squared the ends up, so the angle is actually perfect. It's almost like a perfect fit up. For me, it is a perfect fit up. So I'm going to weld. So I'm going to weld this tube here to this plate here, right? So I'm going to weld this tube to this tube to that tube, and then I mark this. I'm going to drill holes here for mounting through here, and then I got to drill some more holes here and here to catch the that frame, the cross member. When I catch that cross member, it'll be supported here and 2 separate places on the frame of the ATV. So I originally only had it mounted here, but it really needs to be mounted here and here, and I have to make it so I'm not interfering in any way with this is the rear suspension components, and I don't want to interfere with them in any way. So that's the way it's going to go, I hope, because I'm really tired of this project. I was hoping I'd been done already. Okay, so real quick, like I said, this is actually super duper close to the angle that I need, which is more than close enough. Let's see if we get a better shot here. So that's actually more than tight enough for what I'm doing here. It's not a nuclear reactor, for fuck's sake. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of half-ass line these up. I'm not even gonna clamp it. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna throw a clamp on it. I'll throw a C-clamp on this real quick, and I'm just gonna throw some tacks on this. And then I'm gonna take it back over to the machine and mark where I'm gonna drill the holes. I hogged the weld out around here. So I hogged the weld out around here so the bolt drops in. It's not gonna impact the structure at all. I'm gonna have to do the same up here. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. Once I weld this, I'll do the same thing. I'll just hog that out a little bit with a grinder, and we'll be good to go. Okay, here we are, all welded up. Yeah, you know, it's not a nuclear reactor. It's just a, you know, it's a half-ass trailer hitch for my ATV, which is going to get used maybe a couple times a year. So I threw a little bit of acid etching primer on there. I'm going to let it sit for a minute, and then I'm going to throw some, just throw some black on it real quick. I'm quickly losing daylight. I've got about maybe 3 hours of daylight left. Now I want to get this thing on here. The lengths I will go to not have to do yard work. You have to excuse the sound of Mexican bagpipes in the distance. It's that time of year around here, and I myself will be playing the instrument of my people. It's done. As done as it's going to get, and I'm going to show exactly what's going on here. So here we are. We are trailer hitched up. We're trailer hitched up. I do need to put my chocks in, because I'm going to disconnect it. I did a quick test around the driveway here. Which, truth be told, is the only reason I hooked this. The only reason I even built this thing to do this was literally to tow this trailer from here to there to up front in front of the house, and that's about it. Maybe in the future, you know, just to be able to move it around without having to hook my truck up to it. Now, granted, the ATV isn't that much easier to hook up than my truck, but you know, in some cases it is. And the other thing I just noticed is how badly bent this thing is. I'm gonna have to address that later. Not today. That ain't getting addressed today. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unhook it and show how much load this thing actually is putting on the trailer here, or the trailer is putting on the ATV. The other thing I have to do is hook the battery charger back up. I wanna hook my good battery charger up to this thing and let it run all night. So, yeah, the other thing, to get this thing unhooked, I have to use a pry bar, which I'm not crazy about. So we're gonna do it. Ha! This never ends. The hilarity of this never ends. Guess what? We're gonna pull the pin. And drive out from underneath of it. Problem solved. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. So I'm gonna pull this pin out. Unhook it, and there we go. What a pain in the ass that was. That was a 45-minute project that turned into a 2-day ordeal. Well, like I said, I know my detractors love to laugh at me, so there you go. I did it.